Welcome to an open door. This is Cyndi, June 29th, 2026. It's the hour we've entitled Where the Rubber Meets the Road, where we take an idea from A Course in Miracles and we discuss how to utilize it. I do have a song because it, as I sat in preparation for this hour, this song wouldn't stop playing until I agreed to play it. And it was funny because I was sitting here going, I hope Livy's here because Livy and I love a lot of the same kind of music. And how often do I get to play the Doors at an open door? Go ahead and guess what song it is. But um, so I'll play it. And then I'll talk about this section, The Escape from Loneliness. I could tell you that this song, oh, it feels so good to be here. This song does very much represent to me. It was one of my favorite songs back in the day, teenagers, early 20s and stuff, and it very much represented how I felt in the world in so many ways, right? And when we look at this teaching and we look at what it means to feel like we are a body in a private mind and we have to figure out how to get along in the world, this song is pretty appropriate for that too. Maybe not for you, but for me. So a little bit of Doors. Here we go.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange. People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange. Alright, yeah. When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange.
Thank you for letting me play that. Now maybe it'll get out of my head, but you never know. So, William set this off in my space last week, and we've talked a lot about that experience, and a lot of healing, a lot of transformation took place. It led me to this section, The Escape from Loneliness, and I spent a lot of time with it last week and this weekend. And the truth of the matter is, like so much of the course, when you get really quiet with any given page, you could find a year's worth of teaching, right? And I allowed this section to simply teach me and move me and be with me. And then this morning, I literally stopped and I said, okay, Holy Spirit, monad, the part that knows what we need, what are we going to, what's going on? And I sat with it again. And so I'm going to read. Well, I'm going to read what I sent Sandra. So Sandra already knows it. I'm going to read a little bit from the beginning of the section and then paragraph 5, and then a little bit from after paragraph 5, and then um, speak a few minutes and then hand it over, maybe not to Andrew because he's having his air conditioning fixed at the moment, which seems like a very important thing to do if you live in Florida today. So here are these words. It is through the holy instant that what seems impossible is accomplished, making it evident that it is not impossible. And I'm going to stop the in what's going on with the guides. In one of the Q&As, a woman asked the guides just in the last day or so. She said, "You teach, it can be so, it will be so, it is so as the steps of manifestation." And what she asked the guide, she said, "But I don't know what I want." And the response was very interesting because the guide said, what you want is what is beyond the known. So they're teaching manifestation, not like I want the bigger house or I even want the healthy body or they're stating that it is possible to know yourself without fear, to know yourself outside of separation or the denial of the divine, and it begins with you knowing it's possible. And the statement, "it can be so," is your agreement to what you don't know is possible. And so that teaching, finding it here in the course, kind of is shifting my insides. It is through the holy instant that what seems impossible is accomplished, making it evident that it is not impossible. And then paragraph 5. The holy instant does not replace the need for learning, for the Holy Spirit must not leave you as your teacher until the holy instant has extended far beyond time. The Alpha and Omega are one, and linearity is not what we see it to be. So until we accept that we do not need to make amends for what happened yesterday, because the only place anything ever occurs is right now in the holy instant, there's still space in us to extend and expand and be with our teacher, which is who we are when we know who we are outside of all sense of separation. The holy instant does not replace the need for learning, for the Holy Spirit must not leave you as your teacher until the holy instant has extended far beyond time. For a teaching assignment such as his, he must use everything in this world for your release. The first 20 times I read that line this week, I read it as meaning, Cyndi, I get to use everything that happens to me. I could choose, that's how I read it, right? This morning, I included the next sentence. He must side with every sign and token of your willingness to learn of him what truth must be. He is swift to utilize whatever you offer him on behalf of this. And all of a sudden, my sense of responsibility for making the change just dropped. Cyndi, the person at this, the sense of separation does not do the work to use everything in the world to rise in consciousness. My job, when I feel separate from source, is to ask for help, be willing to receive the help from the Holy Spirit. And I hear that from the guides too. everything is God, including the experience of being separate from God. The experience of separate from God, though, is a distortion of the full extent of God's love. And in the moment of your choosing, you can learn through anything, is what the guides say. I am no longer choosing consciously to have that experience of separation. So when I see the experience of separation, what this is teaching me is I can step back and ask for the assistance from the part of me that knows no separation to heal that. The next line in this paragraph, and I'll see if I could do it without crying. His concern and care for you are limitless. There's a line in Divine Union. I've quoted it a number of times. We're not on it yet. But the line from the guide says, you are not only safe, you are perfectly cared for. And every time I even think about it, something inside of me gives way. We are loved. In the face of your fear of forgiveness, which he perceives as clearly as he knows forgiveness is release. So the understanding that the Holy Spirit, which is the bridge, knows that there is fear here. And there's another section in this space that says the Holy Spirit can't teach through fear. That's before that. So I accept that there is I'm watching it and inviting it in. There's fear in the Cyndi story. It could be subtle or otherwise. I could state, I know that there's no use for fear. And at the same time, I confess that when I sit and invite the fear that is coloring the Cyndi story to come into awareness, not by attaching to a story, just knowing that the density of this body is holding fear, the fear arises and I feel it. The Holy Spirit knows it's there, right? In the face of your fear of forgiveness, which he perceives as clearly as he knows forgiveness is release, he will teach you. So when I confess to the fear, that's just been my word lately, when I allow it to come up into awareness and I offer it on the altar to the Holy Spirit, the part of me that knows, it can be reclaimed and transformed through the part of me that does not equate to the fear. And there's another part in this section or the next section that literally says the Father, the God, the truth doesn't see us in our fear because it knows no fear. But the Holy Spirit is the bridge that both acknowledge, even though the Holy Spirit does not act in fear, it is the bridge between God and these separate beings who, just by the defining ourselves as separate, contain some version of fear. And as we're willing to soften and allow the part of ourselves that knows no fear, the Course uses the word teach, just feels like a transformation. The density of fear becomes something else. In the face of your fear of forgiveness, which he perceives as clearly as he knows forgiveness is release, he will teach you to remember always that forgiveness is not your loss, but your salvation. And then the last line that I wrote down here, which is a little further down in this section. Leave then what seems to you to be impossible to him who knows it must be possible, because it is the will of God. So I've been marinating in these teachings and asking them to inform me. And there's some rocking actions, and the fear comes up, and sometimes it feels overwhelming, and most of the time it's contracted, and the spaciousness that can hold it is there as well. And I took all of this, I even wrote it down in, what did I say? before I had two dyads already today, but I wrote, as I enter the dyadic experience, which is this day, it is the willingness to know, be, express only divine truth that I bring. To be willing to not feed the fear and allow the truth to take its place. And God's laughing at me. In the first dyad, I noticed there was somebody in the room whose name was Christian, another one whose name was Christine, um, another one who Krista. Christine, Christian, Christine, Krista, and Christine. I was like, wow, Christ is filling this space. And then a half hour later, I hosted a dyad. There were fewer people in the room, but there was Crystal, who I hadn't seen from Berlin. First time in years she was in the space, and my whole body just started to shake. And then a different Christine. So I was like, thank you, Christ. You're making it very clear that you're here, for me anyway. But I've been really sitting in that understanding of what we're being taught over and over and over again, which is God simply is, and always available to help with the transformation of all fear. And our job is simply to slow down, soften, open. I like the word confess, be willing, like if there are no private minds, what thoughts and ideas am I insisting that I cling to? Because there is this sense that the energy, if we're flowing into this idea of needing to defend and attack and keep private, then God is in that too, but we're choosing not to know it. If that makes sense. Like we're feeding an experience of separation, even though separation is not required, because God simply is. If we're insisting on separate thoughts, if we're insisting that we have to defend and protect our opinion, etc., 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 then we're feeding an experience of separation, which means we're feeding the idea that fear has value as a vibration. We're feeding the experience of there being a place where God is not. Um, and so I'm sitting in it. Like, it's not the end of the story. Somebody else asked the guides I was listening this morning, I was like, you're talking about something new, how do we know when we reach it? And I could hear the guides laughing because they're saying, we're inviting you into the upper room. You're just walking over. Like the idea that it's an experience that has an end is not true. There's a continuous unfolding. From this standpoint, it's never going to end. As you can hold the higher and higher vibration, the higher and higher vibration will fill you and color your experience. And so I've heard Adi Ashante teach a similar thing. How much higher can we fly in this moment? Yeah. So Andrew's not back yet. So the question is, who would like to share next until Andrew gets here? Hey, Livy.
Hey everybody, good morning. Hey Cyndi. I knew that was when you said the Doors and then knowing what the section was, I was like, I know what song this is going to be. That was great. Um, 30 something years ago, I wrote a song that said, I'm searching through my heart and soul for that peace from the noise inside my head. Old conditioning and beliefs I've held want to keep me fetal in my bed, but the light shines on, burning through the dark. God help me know. And last night I went to bed and the noise was getting really loud in my head. And in the past, that's when the fear would have overwhelmed me as I would be like attacking myself within. And last night I was laying there and I could hear the voices. And then the thought occurred to me, these aren't even real. These aren't even real. These aren't even real. It's not even real, you know? And I was able to bring in, because it's just those parts of me that I've been so afraid of hearing. It's not my voice, it's somebody else's voice. And recognizing that today that it's not even real, and I can bring love into that, and I can bring love into all those parts of myself that didn't know love and didn't receive love. I can't do that, but I trust, for the first time in my life, really trust in the oneness that we all are. The one I'm surrounded by, I'm one with my cats, I'm one with everything. And just to be open to allow that love to come through me. And I love this section so much because it's so, the very last sentence, for God himself created the only relationship that has meaning, and that is his relationship with you. And all of it's summed up to that. And when it says, hear him gladly and learn of him that you have need of no special relationships at all, you but seek in them what you have thrown away. And through them, you will never learn the value of what you have cast aside, but what you still desire with all your heart. Let us join together in making the holiest and all there is, but desiring that it be all that there is. And I just really loved that section too. It really spoke to me. And that's really all I have to share right now, except last night in that experience. I gained a deeper understanding of why some people don't have problems watching horror movies, because they've already faced all the horror within themselves. So, what in the world outside themselves could be of any fear, And that was doesn't mean that I need to watch them yet, but, or at all. But it was just kind of a realization of that. So this was right on time. This section was right on time for me, and I really really appreciated it. So thanks for letting me share.
Thank you. And as you read that, it did remind me of Kyle Cease when he pointed to this understanding that if we have any desire than the desire of our soul, I think that was his verbiage, but somebody else might know, then we're not desiring our soul's desire yet. And it feels like the part that you just read highlighted that too. Like, what do we lose when our only desire is to know to be the embodiment of the divine truth? There's no loss in that. There's another part. I've been spending a lot of time with this. There is no sacrifice in desiring only God, because God is all there is. And that's another part of this. It might be, I spent a lot of time with the next section too, because it says that if you try to communicate with through bodies, you're screwed because we're all just rays of light. I've been hanging out with that pointing, which is not in this section, it's the next one. But there's another pointing here that literally just says that the ego continually tells us that the desire only for God is a sacrifice. And how ridiculous is that, since God is everything? So who is next, Richard?
And everyone, morning everyone, I love us all. I was afraid you were going to do this, Cyndi, but I've been thinking that I had to read this section twice, and I'm so what came to mind for me was oneness, and how often we talk about oneness and atonement without realizing what it is. For me, I'm only speaking for Richard. Um, um, That oneness can mean there's no separate anything. So to believe the Holy Spirit is something other than me is false. There cannot be a separate Holy Spirit. There cannot be a separate God. There cannot be a separate anything. So whenever I feel there is a separate anything, whether it be God or Holy Spirit or whatever, I'm identifying as a separate self. And in the separate self, I can experience a loneliness because I feel I'm separate from something else. And so I love paragraph 8 where it says, think but an instant on this. God gave the sonship to you to ensure your perfect creation. In other words, we made the sonship. And then we try, it's like that joke. God created us and we returned the favor. So what did we make God? We make God a human being with a body and a mind. And we think, oh, he's going to help solve it. He has a heart, he has a separate entity called the Holy Spirit that's going to help us deal with all our problems. But it can't be true. That has to be a false because there's only one. That's why oneness cannot be an entity. It cannot be something. It has to be a force. For me, it's energy. So label it anything you want. Label it God. Label it love. Label it awareness. Label it consciousness. It does label it I am. Doesn't make any difference. There's only isness in reality. And how we picture that is what the world we make. So I love this section, but it's very deep. I thought, for me, it was very deep because it brought up all this stuff that I'm sharing with you. One of the things that I liked about this section was the separation of the mind and the body, where we're wanting, the body is what causes us to feel lonely. And the reason we have that experience is because our mind, our ideas in our mind, our beliefs, we want to keep separate. We don't want to share. We share the body, and therefore we can judge others because of bodies. But we don't share the mind, our minds, because we want to protect our mind, because we're afraid others will judge us or feel different about it. They won't love us. And so we did the same thing with God. We gave God the body, the mind. He's going to punish us if he's wrong. That's what we believe, because we believe in the body. So if we we have to be able to really surrender the separate self. Totally. Most of us don't believe that we don't exist in reality. Matter of fact, there are major teachers of the Course and miracles that believe in heaven, and that when we leave the body, we go to a place called heaven. There is no place called heaven. Heaven is the present moment. As William says all this, there's only the now. So I think this is a pretty powerful section. So I love us all, and thanks for letting me share.
Thank you.
It's only my interpretation of what I think the Course is trying to teach us.
I, for one, am very blessed by listening to your interpretation of the Course. So thank you, Richard. Hey, Amy.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Cyndi, for having allowing the wisdom of the Holy Spirit to guide you to this section. It's a really great section, as they all are. I feel perhaps I'm not alone. In this week, a lot of what we've been reading has just resonated so much um, in me. And I'm thinking about William here and William's share last week and how that I'm sure in the moment and what led William up to that feeling of horrible loneliness and isolation was no fun at all. All of us have been there. All of us know what that feels like, and it's a form of torture. It's really unpleasant. And yet it was that sharing that led to this. And so I just want to, that to me is a perfect example of how the light is always shining in the darkness. Did I freeze up there? Okay.
We heard every word.
Okay. The light is always shining in the darkness. So even when you think you're at your furthest away from the light of source, it's actually right there. And it uses everything that you're experiencing to bring you back to it. So I just love that, and I really love what Livy read. For God Himself created the only relationship that has meaning, and that is God's relationship with you. And that's such a beautiful line. And I also like nothing. I'm looking at paragraph 8 here at the in the middle. Nothing that was ever created but is yours. Your relations are with the universe. I love that. Your relations are with the universe. And I will end with I saw Disclosure last night. Has anyone seen the movie Disclosure yet? No. Um, it's a really good movie. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. We went with some friends, and essentially, I don't think I don't know, I don't want to give away. How many of you are going to see it? Okay. Okay. Um, essentially, empathy is a major, major part of that movie. It's empathy. And when we came out of the theater, the woman who I really, really like so much that I saw it with, we talked about, she said to me, what do you think would happen if we realized that we're not alone, that aliens are real? And I said, well, what do you think? She said, I think it would be fine. And I said, I agree. I think nothing is on accident, and I wouldn't be surprised if after this movie we don't get even more confirmations of life forms that aren't human. Um, because I think we're ready for it at this point in time. But another part, a big, big part of it was empathy and the ability to hear thoughts and share thoughts. So I said to her, what will really change the world isn't really the realization that there are other life forms besides humans, but it's realizing that we all share one mind. And that scared her because she said, I don't want anybody to know what I'm thinking. And I said, well, but here's the thing, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And once we understand the truth of that, which is a 2,000-year-old teaching, probably older than that, that's what that teaching is telling us is when we do unto others and we think unto others, as we would have them think unto us. And when we truly have empathy and understand each other's thoughts and aren't alone, we are not alone and lonely, that will be a healing. And yet, what she said to me was, well, what if it was a sadomasochist whose mind you were reading? And I just thought, oh my goodness, we have so far to go because she couldn't comprehend. But I think about this with the guides and where the guides are telling us that we're going to go. And I think it's going to be so gentle. That's another thing that this reading really emphasizes over and over is the gentleness with which these lessons are going to be, with which the teachings will be understood. They will be gentle. They will come in flashes of understanding, flashes of intuition, flashes of goodness that we share together. And that is the happy dream that Richard talks about so often that will replace the scary dream, right? So I just thought I would share that, and thank you for listening. Enjoy Disclosure if you go see it. I think you'll really like it.
Got a message from Suzanne if you want to talk to one of us. She went to see it yesterday, so you could talk to her about the details.
Okay. Okay, good.
And you brought up for me just this understanding that every time I open up the course, it's like I'm opening it up for the first time almost. It's always new. So this whole gentleness and the guides have taught that they teach in a one-room schoolhouse. By that, they just mean we meet you where you are. So it's always how much can you hold in this moment? So I'm
And
hearing
yeah,
confirmation in what you were just saying in that.
thank you, Cyndi. The last thing I want to say is I've been listening to the Jim Self piece for Thursday, and he said something there that I thought was really brilliant for me. I mean, the light bulb went off for me. It's already been on a dim, but it illuminated the room for a second, which was so I know that I am. But he said, I am in relation to what? He asked that question, I am in relation to what? Instead of just saying I am and standing there all by yourself and saying I'm one with everything, I am in relation to what is arising in front of me. And just asking that question opened up a whole door for me. So thank you for that. I don't know who recommended that, but Jim Self, it reminded me what I appreciate about Jim Self. So
Yes.
I look forward to talking about that with everyone on Thursday.
And yeah, for those who don't know Jim Self, that's one thing. And for those who haven't listened yet, it's only 57 minutes. If you can gift yourself with just sitting for 57 minutes, because it's not a conversation, it's a teaching. And I spent a lot of time with Jim Self in the past, and it opened up a whole, like I already went back and have started level one again. And well, going to talk about my early experience with mastering alchemy. But if you have the ability to sit for 57 minutes and follow along, he clearly states it's a vibrational teaching. It's not about observing the words. And having seen him in person a number of times and been a part of so many hours of his teachings, if you're quiet and you notice, because he goes through this cycle and he continually slows your vibration down from where the beginning, and then he even points out to it, are you noticing how much quieter you are now and quieter? So yeah, that's all I want to say about that. Hey, William,
Um, I'm giving myself 5 minutes here.
I'll give you a
I've
sec.
I've been so something. I don't have the word for it, but I've been doing the headless way. So when I look here as the experiment, I'm not here. There's nothing. And it is so scintillating, real. It's so real. It's, of course, And when I take my headphones off, I relive that because I've been living in the outer where I see the faces. I see me on that. I see everybody. The world has been telling me that's who I am. That's who I am. That's who I am. That's who you are. We've been this drama game that's where we are. But when I look this way, there's no me. There really is nothing. Wow. When I take off the headphones of who I've been told I am, all I am is space, truly space. Wow. And I feel that openness because that's what love is. It's just the openness. Come in, one and all. And when I look at all of your faces, that I know every one of you is also in your space, even when you're lost in the image of who we all have been trained to think we are. That's not, that's not, I am not, I am not, I am not this. But in this moment, there are no words. It's just the presence. Yes, there is God there. It doesn't matter what it's just this openness. There's no need for any more words, even in this moment of now, because in this now, I'm I'm home. Well, what is home? It's okay. It's okay. And when I let you in, I'm not just letting because I see your face. You don't see your face either. You just see what people have told you is your face. You've looked in the mirror just as I've looked in the mirror. But there's there's nothing there really. And I'm just seeing this. Wow. 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 So there's loneliness is out here in the world of faces. My face, your face. There's no way we can really not be separate. But when I let you in into this now of oneness, of course, there's no loneliness. And now it was so nice when I was torturing myself, believing that I was separate, you were separate, and I was reaching for all that. It helped me spring loose to turn and look. Just look. There's nothing here. I don't see me. I have to look in the mirror. I have to look and listen to other people who see me. I see you. You don't see you either. So I just love this. It's like a getting drunk on. I got no head. And what that means to me, I invite you each to look, just experiment, like they say, and looking, what do you see really? So I need to go because I'm going to meet a guy in Starbucks, and I'm going to play my image with his image, and we're going to have fun. But you know what? I'm taking this space inside with me, and that's what I'm going to be there, and I'll hold him. Oh, he's just a good old dear. It's like when I'm here, everyone is just. Oh, wow. I melt. We melt. We're all in this space. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Got to go. I'll
Okay.
think
Well,
of one
before
more.
you go though, William, I
I'll
don't
be over
think
there.
any of us will be surprised to know that the Headless Way is already on the schedule to discuss in Finding Truth in about 3 weeks, Richard Lang and the Headless Way. So you brought it up. and Diane is a longtime student and sent me a podcast, and so we'll be talking about it.
Yeah. And I tell you, I love that, Richard. Like Douglas Harding, this guy, he's such a performer too. Oh man, he knows Shakespeare, he knows everything. He makes it so captivating to play in the world of the drama of the face, but yet he is so grounded. Uh, no Douglas, no Douglas.
Yeah.
Okay,
Douglas left his body 20 some odd years ago,
I
though.
know,
And
but boy,
Richard is
I've
still
been watching. He's such a on the internet. He's just everywhere.
all right. Thank you, William. Hey, Livy.
Hey, just real quick, I just wanted to share an experience with y'all when heaven was brought up as being separate. And I, of course, don't believe that. And one day last week, because I'm finally making my living space a home, and I was in the bathroom and I was thinking, I wonder, and most of you know that my grandnephew passed away. And I was thinking, I wonder if, because he used to spend a lot of time here, and I thought, I wonder if Asher will be comfortable, you know. And then, of course, as soon as that thought came out, the thought of the realization of, and I sat down and I started crying, and I could just feel this energy of love surround me, is the only way I can describe it. And it was just a really beautiful experience. And so I just wanted to share that with y'all. So thanks for letting me share.
Thank you. Thank you. And just before I hand things to John, Salvador Poe is also, he has 5 or 6 teachers he think are legit, and Douglas Harding was one of them. And he said it in the interview we talked about, and he taught about it too. The statement he carries with him from Douglas Harding is, don't you know that I am just the space for you to be? Hey, John.
Hi, everybody. Hi, happy Monday. When the rubber meets the road, that's our title. And what really looking for the relationship between the rubber and the road, and the way that wheel goes around with everybody's different expressions, and the way that impacts things. So I love to be in this presence and to be here with you guys all. And I just wanted to jump in with a couple of things from me that I would like to share. And basically, I'll kick off with Livy's statement about heaven, being in a separate place. Well, for me, heaven is a very separate place of a lot of the time. And in fact, most of my life, I have been in a version of hell, which is not heaven. And so it's just the undoing and unlearning and unpacking of all that process that allows me to come to the recognition of something that what I really would like to share about it, and that is about my relationship to. I always used to think about gratitude, and I think it was Amy talking about appreciation and stuff like that. And you know what? I used to think that was just it cats me out, and I would be, I buy into this. I got to be grateful. I got to be grateful. And I'd say, I'm so grateful. Get up in the morning, grateful, go to bed. All the things that happen because I'm feeding the things that I like, and I bought into that. Then I realized, who am I grateful to and for what? But for me, this week kicked into that it was I'm creating a separation, and all I need to do, and this it was all I need to do is just recognize that I am in the process of integrating this into myself. And it's the definition that somebody was saying about the definition of God, the all in all. Am I willing to accept that the all is in me, and that that I can recognize that? And I'm just opening up to the fact, if there's anything to be grateful for, appreciate that I'm waking up to that this is my own creation, and that oh my goodness, what a concept. because it feeds directly into, all my ADHD and rejection syndrome dysphorias, blah, 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 blah. That's not true. Well, I don't remember it really, all I can do is just embody the recognition of the divine truth that I'm a massive and intimately connected with this rubber in this road. And it's such an exciting journey, just piece by piece, Livy, to realize that, oh, heaven is here now. And then William is always talking about that. Yeah, yeah. What if that's true? I want to tell you one thing. One thing got first prize last week I came first in my class on a project, and I've never been first in my life on anything. In fact, I usually run from teachers, and so it was quite a new experience for me. So there's a lot going on in my consciousness about just being the all in all and being participating in that, and just having the ability to express it and own that I can look and share this with my dear friends here who I've known for so long. Yeah, I got an ego. I came first. Wow, what a concept, and basically it was the guy just. I was in competition with about, I don't know, 15 other people from all over the world for this, just I couldn't believe that. I had a hard job believing that I got first prize and that I'm the stance king. So anyway, I just wanted to share that because I love myself, and I am the all in all, and the all in all is pretty excited right now. And thank you for being here for me.
Anybody else want to know what the project was? You're going to tell us what you won first prize in, John?
It, it's a project called PCW, which means Provocative Change Works. Provocative Change Works. And it's based on the work of Frank Farrelly on provocative therapy. And it follows up his work from Carl Rogers stuff, which he learned. And it's kind of it's a very, very, by far the most exciting project I've ever been involved in. And to think that I kept first prize in just in an aspect of it was utterly amazing, because we were timed for maybe 2 or 3 minutes each, but we participated all through with the other people. So like it was 2 hours, actually it was 3 hours of continuous bombardment, and they liked what they really liked what my ability to move from stance to stance, and my expression. The expression was what they liked best, because although I didn't have a grasp of all the stances and certainly didn't have time to express them, they did like my expression. So, and in terms of communication, they said that they figure that's takes a high marks. So that's it. That's it.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. My brain had it being something with flowers and plants. So it's fun how the mind makes things up. Not
John, I thought you had stopped. I'm sorry, Cyndi.
No, I'm good. Go.
John, what lit my candle when you were speaking was when you said, I love myself. And it came from the tip of your toes all the way up, out, and through.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Who else is going to share? Hi, Rona.
Hello. Hello, everyone. It was neat. A lot of the things that you touched upon, I had highlighted as I went through. So, no coincidences there. I found myself getting bogged down. Thank you, Richard, for the reminder that I don't need to understand everything, right? Just read the words on the page, Rona. Don't try to understand it. So I too read it twice, but that pull to wrap my mind around something, right? So that was a gift just to see it. and then let it go. What this is pointing out for me is that anything offered to the Holy Spirit shows willingness to know truth. And that most of my communication in a body there's a lot of miscommunication, a lot of opportunity with other bodies to miscommunicate. And when I become aware that that's happening, that's when I can pause in that holy instant and ask it to be re-perceived, re-known. I can ask questions like, what's really going on here? And then move in a response in the world in a more loving way and understanding way. In paragraph 7, the second sentence says, the loneliness of God's Son is the loneliness of his Father. And I sat with that for a while, and I moved the word of to for. So the loneliness of God's Son is the loneliness for his Father, right? That deep desire to know truth, love, God, blah, whatever, synonym you want to stick in there, and I remember when I first started working with my current sponsor, we used to talk about the hole in the soul that a lot of people can't have when they come into recovery. And she said it's a God-shaped hole, that it wants to be filled with this beautiful spirit that we already are to re-know who I am, you know. And so I really enjoyed this. It was interesting. I will share this. That song gave me another one of those opportunities where memory pops up. And as that song was playing, I could feel all the thoughts rising, and I could feel guilt rising. And my eyes went down on the page, and it said, he will teach you to remember always that forgiveness is not your loss, but your salvation. And that in complete forgiveness, in which you recognize at last that there is nothing to forgive, you are absolved completely. So in that moment, I just did that quick pause and I asked for that to be reknown. To remember I am in union with the source of all things, and anything I perceived in a memory to have happened 40 years ago, more than that, 45, that it's all been forgiven, you know. It didn't even happen, as according to now. So it was just a great opportunity to look at that. And there was part of me that was like, oh my gosh, here we go again. You're going to be bothered by some Doors song. But then I just got still and let come up what was there, So I guess it's just part of that ceiling fan whipping around, maybe just one more time, getting rid of tendrils of guilt, you know, for the way I acted when I was 13 years old. Crazy. So thank you.
It's strange. I want to say, it's funny. Alice was talking about listening to the Boulder Weekend and the Q&A and noticing how so many people just want to know about their relationship with their sister or their friends or if they're going to get a job. Somehow, though, I keep listening to these Q&As. There are things that happen. Another question that came up, this woman said, I feel like I'm doing the work. I feel like everything's right. And the same thing keeps happening over and over and over again, right? In the loop, the same circumstances. And the response from the guides, it's always when the guides respond, was that if you look, you will notice it's not the same. That what's coming up, every time it's coming up, it's different. And every time it's coming up, another aspect is being transformed. So it's part of what happens. And there was something in the way they responded like that reminded me that the egoic I separate thought system will, and I heard this from Regina, will continually tell you it's not working because the ego wants you to be convinced it's an on-off switch because it's well suited by you jumping from one teacher or one practice to the other. This didn't work, let me try this. This didn't work, let me try this. And yet life is a continuous flow and things are happening all the time. And even though it's not linear, we're still, we're dissolving the iceberg a little bit at a time. And so the memories will come up, or we'll find ourselves responding with anger when we thought we healed that, or here's the judgment again. And the ego will say, oh shit, I'm never going to get this. But when we're really honest and we look, we notice it isn't the same. It's weak. Livy pointed that out very clearly. Here, this time when the fear rose last night or whatever it was, I was able to hold it. A year ago, I wouldn't have been able to hold it. And this time I'm able to hold it. So it was a great gift listening. I mean, I've heard this before, but it's a great reminder to know that these things, they come up, they're not the same. They're just giving us the chance to heal on another level. Man, I love us. I love all of our different, our mirrored reflections. This is a mirror, right? We meet again in 2.5 hours for the guides. It's an intensive that I think it's ending tonight. I'll upload it. It's called Rebirth. And I do believe we're going to listen to day 2 of this 5-day intensive, and it's a section of their brand they channeled for 30 minutes, and they're putting it in the book, and it's extraordinarily powerful. I've listened to it a couple times already, so if you can join us, then that would be awesome. And I'm going to stop the recording.